Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through your sources, find the core insights, and today we're tackling something I think a lot of us feel, whether we're teaching or learning. That little nod of anxiety maybe when new technology comes into the picture. You know, that moment in a classroom or even just trying a new app where there's this hesitation, this feeling of being, well, a bit overwhelmed, maybe even intimidated. Okay, let's unpack this. Because that feeling, that tech fear, it's super common, right? And it can really get in the way. So our deep dive today is all about digital empowerment, especially in education, and looking at ways to, push back against that fear. Our main source material here comes from the really impressive work being done by the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County. And our mission is to pull out their practical strategies, maybe find some surprising ways they're using tech, not just as a challenge, but as a real tool to boost learning for everyone.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how they're taking this big concept, digital literacy, which we all know is critical, and making it really human-focused, really actionable. It's not just saying, oh, digital skills are important. It's about actually making access to those skills fair and real for people. They really get that tackling tech fear isn't just about, being more efficient. It's fundamentally about inclusion, making sure people aren't left out as the world gets more digital. Their whole approach is, well, it's a pretty useful blueprint, I think.
Absolutely. And their work really highlights those unspoken worries that often feed the fear. We're talking about concrete reasons why tutors, teachers too, and students feel put off by technology sometimes. Maybe for you listening, it's like hitting an invisible wall with a new platform, or that worry like, what if I click the wrong thing? Will I break it? It's definitely a real thing the Literacy Council has addressed.
Oh, it absolutely is. And this fear, it's not always just about not knowing how to use something. Sometimes it runs a bit deeper, doesn't it? Feelings of maybe not being smart enough, or worrying about how fast everything changes, or maybe just a bad experience in the past. It's almost like that classic fear of the office printer, that feeling one wrong move spells disaster. For some people, learning new software feels like that, but amplified. And what the Literacy Council's experience really underlines is that just acknowledging the fear, saying, yeah, that's real, we get it, that's the vital first step. You need empathy before you even start teaching the tech.
Right. Empathy first.
Yeah.
So, okay, they understand the fear. How do they actually practically deal with it? This is where the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County, I think, really gives us some great concrete examples.
Exactly. Their whole approach as well, it's smartly incremental. They seem to get that big, sudden changes are scary. So they start by weaving tech into things people are already doing, familiar routines.
Yeah. And here's where it gets really interesting, because they tackle the fear with these accessible real-world actions, integrating tech right into the day-to-day. Let's look at some methods. They start with really simple stuff you do on your smartphone every day. Their materials mention things like just using your phone to sign in for class attendance.
That's
super basic, right? Something most people have probably done somewhere else.
Precisely. And that immediately makes the technology feel like a normal, helpful tool, not some scary, complex beast. They also mention using things like QR codes for registration. Again, not complicated. These aren't tests needing, coding skills or deep tech knowledge. They're quick interactions. You do it, it works, you feel a little more confident. It helps people see tech as just another practical thing like using a pen. And those little wins, they add up. They build a kind of digital comfort zone.
Okay, so once that basic comfort starts building, they then bring in more engaging stuff, often using multimedia. YouTube comes up as a big example for them. And it's not just sticking a video on, is it? They seem to use YouTube videos for all sorts of class activities, making things more dynamic, like watching a mock interview for the U.S. citizenship test. That's really practical.
And that's such a smart way to cater to different learning styles, too. If you're an auditory learner, listening activities using YouTube, maybe for phonics or pronunciation practice, are fantastic. For visual learners, seeing something demonstrated makes abstract ideas much clearer. So they're using this free, readily available resource to kind of bring the richness of the real world sounds, images into the learning space in a way that, let's be honest, textbook often can't. It makes learning feel more immersive, more memorable. And it flips the script, right? Technology isn't the barrier, it's the window.
Right. It becomes a tool, not a hurdle. Now, beyond those specific engaging examples like YouTube, they also talk about using, and this is their phrase, robust online-only curriculums. That sounds a bit more serious, maybe more structured. How does that fit in? What does that offer learners?
Yeah, that's a good distinction. These aren't just playlists of videos. They're typically more structured programs. Think modules you work through, often with built-in quizzes, ways to track your progress, interactive exercises, like guided pathways. So a learner might use one of these to systematically get better at, say, using basic spreadsheet software, lesson by lesson, building skills, getting instant feedback. Or maybe for language learning, where you get structured grammar practice, pronunciation exercises, all in a sequence. It provides that sort of guided, step-by-step journey for digging deeper into specific skills. You master one thing before the next. It's scaffolded support, which YouTube alone, great as it is, doesn't always offer in the same way. It's about that sustained learning path.
Gotcha. So structured pathways for deeper dives.
Yeah.
And then there's the really lively stuff. They mentioned getting into interactive and immersive tools. The source material lists things like Digital Jeopardy, Kahoots, and then it mentions even ZSpace. Now Jeopardy, Kahoots, okay, I see that. Super popular for making learning fun like a game. But ZSpace, what's that about? How did that connect with learners?
Well, exactly. Things like Digital Jeopardy and Kahoots are pure gamification gold, aren't they? They turn potentially drier view into something fun, competitive, social, that really hooks learners, boosts retention. They definitely connect with learners by tapping into that natural desire to play. Now, ZSpace, for anyone not familiar, that usually points towards virtual or augmented reality AR/VR type platforms, stuff designed for interactive 3D learning. The council seems to be using this for, well, really immersive experiences. Imagine being able to virtually take apart a human heart in biology class, or manipulate a molecule in 3D in chemistry, or maybe navigate a simulated environment for job training. It makes abstract stuff really tangible, really interactive in a way flat screens or books just can't. It's about using tech to shift from just passively watching or reading to actively doing and experiencing. And this raises an important question. How can these kinds of interactive, immersive tools really change the game, learning from just observation to, direct hands-on participation?
Wow, yeah, moving from observation to participation. That's a powerful shift that makes things stick. But thinking about all this digital empowerment push, it isn't only for the students, right? The tutors, the teachers, they need to be comfortable too.
Oh, absolutely critical. If you want these digital literacy efforts to actually work long-term and to reach more people, you have to empower the educators first. They need the confidence, the skills, which means good professional development, practical training that actually fits what they need to do. Because, the best tech tools in the world won't help anyone if the teachers aren't comfortable using them.
And the Literacy Council seems to really get that. They talk specifically about running workshops for their tutors on how to teach with Zoom. I mean, that's so practical, so needed, especially now with remote and hybrid learning being so common, making sure the guides feel good about the tools.
Exactly. And the source mentions it was their second workshop on Zoom teaching. That little detail is quite telling, I think. It suggests it's not just a one-off thing. It's ongoing. There's demand. It's successful. It shows that building digital skills for educators is a process, not a single event. It reinforces that investing in training your trainers, your teachers, it's fundamental. If we connect this to the bigger picture, empowering educators is really the key to making any digital literacy program sustainable and impactful.
Right. So we've seen all these different approaches from the Literacy Council, the simple stuff, the engaging content, the structured learning, the interactive games, and supporting the teachers. What does this all mean for you listening, whether you're that learner feeling a bit hesitant, or maybe you're an educator thinking about bringing in more tech?
Well, I think what we've really pulled from the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County's work is this powerful message. Yes, tech fear in education is real, it's a barrier, but it's definitely not unbeatable. Their methods, which are so practical, so engaging, and often really accessible, show a clear path forward. We saw that whole range, didn't we? From using a smartphone for something simple like attendance, all the way to engaging videos on YouTube, using those robust online courses for deep dives, and even jumping into fun, immersive tools like Kahoot or ZSpace. And crucially, they don't forget the educators running specific workshops on vital tools like Zoom. It creates this positive cycle of digital confidence.
And that really leads to a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. Thinking about all these strategies we discussed today, from the tiny, everyday tech uses right up to the more immersive stuff, how might you find your own simple, non-scary entry point? Where could you start integrating technology just a little bit more effectively into your learning or your work or even just daily life? Maybe it's trying one new app that looks helpful, or exploring one specific online tool related to your interests, or just finding a slightly smarter way to use the phone you already have. What unexpected benefits might pop up if you just take that one small, deliberate step outside your current tech comfort zone? It's worth exploring, right? Keep questioning, keep trying things out.